Okay. Now, if you're dealing with the SBA and you are uh, a certified small business under the SBA, then you know the government's going to grade you on how well you operate your contracts. So there's something called the Sba Scorecard. Now, if you're in one of the small business set aside areas, which just being a small business puts you in that set aside, okay? Um, the government's going to be grading each of those sections that they provide as far as set aside programs. And they have goals every year of the number of percentage of businesses that they have to meet at a minimum, okay, under each contract or procurement that they make. Small business set asides, for example, they might set for an example 23% small business direct awards. This might be a goal of theirs. And you need to look out there at the SBA and see what their goals are every year to just make sure where you will fall and how beneficial that would be to you and your company status. So they may have goals of 23% of their procurements will go out to direct awards for federal government to small businesses, okay? And this may be across all government contracts, all right? Then you'll look at 34.6 small business subcontractor awards, all right? So that means the government's gonna look for the prime contractors to subcontract to the small business community, and there's goals for that. So you can see here the opportunity and the for developing these teaming and subcontracting strategies, and that's going to help your business grow. Okay. These are some of the small business set asides and how they're broken down. There's the woman owned WOSB, 5%. This small and disadvantaged business set aside. Veterans, like service disabled veteran owned small businesses, 3%. There are companies who operate with historically unutilized business zones, hub zones. Okay, that's a big set aside now. A lot of small businesses try to get into where they have to put their headquarters in a economically a low area of economic development, and they offer to hire the residents of that area to work in their business, okay, to help empower that particular community. So that may be something you may be interested in pursuing once you start doing business. And if you haven't, and you're currently in the business and you haven't done that and you qualify, do look into that with the SBA. The Department of Commerce defines the goals, and the SBA evaluates and grades, okay? So just a little bit of background knowledge on how it all comes together and what the logic behind it all is from the government perspective. Okay, for the SBA scorecard, let's say the grades would be 80% based on prime direct awards, 10% based on subcontractor awards, 10% based on your business plan or what your planned procurements are, and any references that you have, like past performance from doing work with other people. Could be on a local or state as far as past performance, and any reference you bring to the table. Anybody have any questions at this point? Not yet. Okay. So let's talk about the best practices in subcontracting and teaming. These are, again, some of a summary of things that you need to do in order to be qualified to do business with the government and qualify for the set-aside programs that would give you an increased opportunity to sub with mid to large contracts. Like initially, before you can even register in SAM, you need to have a Duns and Bradstreet number. And then you register in SAM. Okay, you need to register and find small business partners in the SBA Dynamic Database. The SBA Dynamic Database includes all the businesses that are registered in the various set-asides, like we mentioned earlier, and you can go out there and search, all right, through the SAM.gov website and see which companies are doing the same kind of work you are who may be looking for subcontracting opportunities. You could be a larger company or a smaller company, okay? So, it's good for small companies to pool together and form partnerships and go after work together, okay? The government is very favorable to subcontracting arrangements, okay? In addition, you need to prepare your capability statement and make sure that it's concise, provides what your services and products you're providing. We try to advise people to try to keep it to one page or either have one page capability statements per service area you provide so that you can use those when you're marketing and they know immediately what service you're going to be providing to them, and you just provide them with that particular service area. For instance, if you're an IT company and you do other work like data management and all of that, well, if you're marketing to one agency, excuse me, and you're responding or looking to get into IT with them and they're buying IT services, then for that particular agency, I would give them my capability one pager that deals directly with IT. Because you don't want to give them a lot of different service areas you provide when they're not buying those items, okay? This will give them a quick reference to call you. Because if you give them something that's including like a big capability statement with a lot of different services, the chances are they may not look through the documentation you give them to find IT. So it's better to be more direct and give them or show them your capabilities in the services and products that they are currently buying. Did anybody have a question?
Yes, we have a few questions coming right now. Some people have been having some audio issues. So I've posted the phone number in the chat box. You can call on the phone and listen over the phone if you have any audio issues. Okay, first one is from Martin. He says, what do you suggest on how to engage with an agency for performing sole source contracts? We feel that many OSBPs are there to support small business, but there seems to be a big wall to break. How do we develop a relationship with the stakeholder? So they're having some difficulty there. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I have to admit that is a challenge that a lot of small businesses are finding these days. My one word for that is persistence, okay? You have to keep contacting the agency and keep going back. My advice to you guys is to narrow the agencies down to the ones you really want to do business with, okay, that you have, and keep going back. The first time, second time, you may not get to the decision makers. And, it's really difficult these days because of the fact that, they don't let people into the government buildings, and you have to kind of wait for these virtual meetups, okay, where you really can't even do a face-to-face most times, because it's online, and you're not really shaking anybody's hand these days because of COVID. Uh, and even before COVID, you know, the government kind of revised how they meet with people one-on-one because of security reasons. So they had industry days, okay? So, you know, just be persistent and keep going back because eventually they're going to remember you and call you back, okay? Um, it's difficult to get to the program people, but you can find out who they are through the industry days sometimes, or through the contracting officials. And you can find their information at the government websites and keep flooding them with emails and following up and following up. And, you know, I've worked with several contractors in the DMV area, and this is how they penetrate that wall because right now, you know, COVID has really put a kind of standstill or even, you know, put us at a greater disadvantage. And you know, like I said, making those personal connections, even just sending emails on a regular basis. And I mean, not every day, but, you know, like maybe every 2 weeks or every month to get your name in front of them. And then, you know, just kind of check in and see what's coming down the pike, you know, knowing what that agency buys already. And so you know that you're targeting the right agencies that are buying things so that you can get ahead of the solicitation before it comes out. You know, I think that's the best way to try to get in for the decision makers. And then, you know, just what we're talking about today, teaming and subcontracting strategies. If you are a subcontractor to a prime contractor, that indirectly gives you access to that agency. Now, when you're as a sub, you have to follow certain uh, procedures because normally in your agreements, you're not allowed to go and market yourself to the agency that you're a subcontract under. But if you perform well and the government knows that your organization is a subcontract, it's not like it's a blind thing. So if you're supporting that company and they see that your performance is, you know, stellar, of course, they're going to be interested in doing business with you later. But, you know, without permission from the prime, you really can't go out and start marketing. But, you know, just use integrity in your business affairs. And eventually, as, you know, your company grows and you grow out of that subcontract, eventually one day you may be able to work, actually bid on it as a prime yourself. There are ways to do it, like in the SBA program, for instance. If you're teaming with an SBA certified company and they have a contract through SBA and you're not, well, you could be an SBA person too, but just not into that particular agency and you sub with them. Well, hey, sometimes, you know, those companies make agreement with you, the sub, that, you know, as if they graduate before you, then they become the prime and then the prime contractor becomes the sub. Okay. So I always say 49% is better than no percent, okay? Or 20% is better than no percent. You know, it gives you exposure and it gives you relevant past performance that will help put your company at the next level. Did I answer that correctly, or another part that I missed?
No, I think that sounds good. People are saying thanks.
Great.
We can do another question before we go back to the presentation.
Okay. Sure.
This one is, my company is not a prime or a sub. Can we use our past performance as a 1099 independent contractor as past performance?
Yes, you can. And, you know, that's even, you know, stronger, you know, like today's world, the government really will recognize your performance working as an employee in a company, okay, in a commercial company and or a government contractor, okay. So if you're a 1099er, like a consultant, of course that can be used as past performance. But you can also present your resume experience as past performance and also get credit for that. People do get into the game that way. So make sure that you're documenting everything you do in your everyday jobs. Because a lot of people, that's why they go into government contracting, because they've worked in that area and they feel like that they have some kind of expertise that would allow them to manage a company in that area. So one of the good ways is to reformat your work experience as your past performance, because that's true. It is your past performance. Okay.
Okay, that's it for now.
Great. All right. Well, the last bullet we didn't go over, which was strategy based on the items and the best practices. These are things you need to build your business plan and strategy on, making sure you've completed these things and that, you're out there presenting yourself and being persistent. That's my word to you all, persistence. Because, if first you don't succeed, try again. You just don't go and present it. You're not gonna knock at the door and they're gonna open it right away. So you got to keep knocking. And if you choose to go into business, then you have to make sure that that's part of your plan. It's not going to come easy. You got to put some work in. Okay. But like I say, ideally, one of the best ways to get into contracting is to start with teaming and subcontracting with other small businesses and medium to large size companies. Let's talk a little bit about the small business certifications. Again, there's the woman-owned. You got the small business small disadvantaged business companies, and you really do need to go and talk with SBA. And a lot of times, some of these certifications are self-certified programs, like woman-owned. You can certify yourself as a small disadvantaged. You just have to prove to the SBA that your income is below a certain level to qualify for these certifications, and maybe do a letter and present your financials, and the SBA keeps it on file. And they might come back and have you recertified that you still qualify to be in these certifications in the future, but it's good that you take it to your advantage, okay? If you're a veteran company and you're service disabled, get certified with the Veterans Administration and SBA and utilize the work that they're going to set aside in these areas, okay? Hub zone again, like I talked about earlier, and you see the percentages. Just keep up to date with, what's going on within these certification programs so that you know. And when you're doing your searches for solicitations, look for what's available in those areas, okay? You're doing yourself an injustice if you don't utilize the certifications once you get them. Even when you're searching in Beta, Sam Beta, you will know. You can also search under those certifications to see what agencies are putting RFPs out under the various certification programs. Any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. One is, I'm a vet and new to government contracting. Which certification is best for me if I'm just getting started?
Okay. If you're just getting started, then you most likely would start out as a small business certification, making sure that you self-certify as a small business, and going to the VA and getting your veteran-owned business certification. Like I said, the VA supports the vets in helping them be successful in government contracting. So, you have both umbrellas helping you, SBA as well as the Veterans Administration. They put out certain special vehicles for veterans to be able to prime. Again, you can utilize any of the set-asides that you qualify for. If you're a woman-owned business, add that to your portfolio of certifications. And you use them as a way to get into the game and win business based on the set-aside percentages under each of those. So if you know that this agency is putting out a woman-owned small business solicitation, then go and talk to them. Make yourself known. Pay attention to not only the solicitations coming out, but also in beta.sam, they have an area you can search on called sources sort. Okay. And that's where the government is looking to see how many certified companies are out there in different classifications, because they are interested in maybe taking a full and open contract and moving it into a small business certification area. And they put a sources sort request out, or a request for information, RFI request, to get information on who's qualified to do the work that they have under these certified programs. That's a good way, another good way to get into the game, because that way the agencies know who you are. You submit either your qualifications based on what the RFI or source of sort is looking for. Sometimes they just want your capability statement. And then this helps them develop their procurements in the future and which pools they're going to use, because they now know how many people qualified to provide the services they sell. So that puts you in another position there that makes it easier for you to get awarded. They already know your name when you submit your bid, okay? Because you responded to the RFI. Not all, but in some cases, only the companies who reply to these sources sort and or RFIs are even qualified to receive the solicitation. So it's almost like a semi-sole source. It's not put out to everybody, only to the people who responded to the actual request for information and sources sort. So do look for that, because that's going to be very helpful going forward in utilizing your small business certifications and or just your expertise, because sometimes the government's looking for something so specialized that maybe your company and maybe a couple other companies only qualify for. And if you miss the opportunity of putting your RFI in or responding to these requests, then your chances of winning when they put it out may be a little bit less. Okay, so you want to kind of stay ahead of the game by being on top of that and do regular searches, okay, to make sure that you're not missing any information, any requirements that are coming out, and any set asides that they're going to be looking for from different companies. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Again, another way is to contact the OSTBU. It's called the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Organization. Each agency has this office, okay? So, you can search online and get that information, their telephone number and email, and let yourself be known. Try to get a rapport, be it over email or over telephone now these days. And they will let you know when they know of things coming out within the agency they represent. So I encourage you to go online and do your due diligence and research the agencies that are buying what you sell, and contact the OSTBU, and use their expertise to direct you into certain things coming up down the pipe in the future, to position yourself to actually bid on those things and hopefully win. So you're gonna also, many agencies have a particular portal where you can submit your company information so that it's in their database. So look for that as well, and make sure that you submit your capability statement. And again, you can also get your name known by researching the government requirements and the things they buy. And if you can come up with a better way of doing a certain service, excuse me, that they're buying, then you can also submit an unsolicited proposal to that agency. Okay, they may have requested a proposal, let's say, for a certain service, and then they tell you that they want it this way. Well, you maybe have the expertise to look at the way they're operating and say, well, I could do it a little better. I can streamline that. I can save the government money. Hey, don't hesitate to do an unsolicited proposal. Okay. And then you can go and find out if they have a portal to submit that proposal on, or who you would submit unsolicited proposal to, and go ahead and submit that. Okay. Again, that's a good way to get in, because a lot of times they do take it seriously, or they will consider a really good response when you're giving them an alternative to the way they're doing things. Okay. The best position to be in is to be able to provide a new way to save the government money and increase their quality of work that's being done. Okay. So it's very possible you could get a sole source contract that way by doing a non-solicited proposal. So you might want to make that a part of your proposal process to look for opportunities where you could do non-solicited proposals. There are sometimes you'll see an RFP come out and they'll tell you this is what I want, but then they also will tell you in that RFP that, wow, we welcome alternative proposals. Okay, which means you would need to make 2 proposal responses. Okay, you would submit according to the RFP, and then you do a second proposal with your idea of how to do that better. So kind of look for these things when solicitations have come out. Okay, that again, opportunities to put you at a competitive level where you will have a better chance of winning. Any other questions? I saw some come in.
Yes, we have a couple. First one is, what if I don't have any past performance? Does that completely stop me?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, if you've been working in the area that you have a company in, which most likely you have, that's your past performance. Okay. You can also, if you're able to hire and recruit people who have expertise in the area you're doing business in, and they become your key people that are going to be working with your company to help build your company, their expertise in that field can be used as past performance. So that not having specific contract direct work does not impede you from providing a good proposal response and the past performance the government's looking for. Okay.
Okay, another one is, since COVID, it's pretty difficult to find industry days and outreach events. Do we know if they're doing online events? I can help answer that one, Arleen, because
sure, please.
We are partnering a lot with all the agencies, because since COVID is pretty much doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, they have all stepped up their outreach events. So my advice is to look at the agency websites, usually in the small business outreach section, or you can type it in their search box. They will show you events that they are having, and it's usually built around how to do business with their agency, because people need to know, because each agency is different, what the forecasts are as well, procurement forecasts. And also you should get into the habit of signing up for newsletters from places like your chambers of commerce, your economic development corporations in your county, and any business related kind of incubator organizations, because everybody and their mother is doing webinars right now to network with clients and with businesses, because they know nobody is physically seeing each other anymore. So that's just a tip from my perspective. I don't know if you want to add anything, Arleen.
That's great information, Yasmin. Thank you. But that's exactly what I would say as well. And just make sure you just kind of look out there. Don't, if it's a date of an event that you have a conflict with, maybe you can't get off. Maybe you have an associate. Let somebody from your organization or some consultants that work with you go to that event. Okay. On the webinars, usually they have like replays of the information presented. So if you sign up for it, even though you're not physically there doing the actual event, they usually send you a link to kind of look at it later. Well, do that so that you can go back and review what they discussed in that webinar. if you noted, what I've noted is that a lot of agencies will pool together and do a joint event where you'd have different times of the day, different agencies will present their uh, organizations and what they have available procurement wise. So, it's valuable, and it gives you contact people that you can email and follow up on. So even if you can't physically, be on that call or that webinar, have someone do it, but at a minimum sign up, because generally everyone who signs up gets a copy of that webinar experience. Okay.
Okay, thanks. And I also just want to point out that there are a lot of questions coming through, and we try to get through as many as we can, but obviously, we can't get through everybody. My advice is to speak to your PTAC counselor. This is where they can help you. They can point you in the direction of industry events. They are constantly sending out information to their clients according to the NACE codes. They can help you if you're lacking in past performance. They can help you with your capability statements. All the basics to get you prepped and ready is exactly what your PTAC counselor is paid to do. So please do reach out to them.
Exactly. And the announcements are also in the Beta SAM website as well. When a lot of agencies will put that there, okay? And if you sign up with the agencies, usually you'll get those emails. So look out for them. Check your email regularly to make sure you're not missing those events, okay? Now let's talk about subcontracting. Even if you are a prime contractor, there are times that you will also be a subcontractor to somebody, because it behooves you to grow your company in such a way that you're the prime sometimes and you're the sub sometimes. And if you develop relationships with other companies and start teaming with them, then, and you guys complement each other, then you guys can kind of grow together and pivot off of each other's experience, where, sometimes you may not have all the pieces to the puzzle to provide a perfect response. That company that you develop a relationship can complement you, and you guys can give the solution to the government in a way that will result in an award. So, do utilize and develop those relationships as you go along. And especially if you decide to bid on those contracts that are under the, what we call a government-wide acquisition contract, a GWAC, and under those contracts, they issue task orders like GSA schedule, like GSA Alliant, and some others out there. They have new ones like 8A stars if you're in the 8A program. So you need to have teaming partners that you've vetted already that actually complement your surface area, and have them like in your database so you can contact them when something comes down the road that you can use their expertise. If they teamed with you in the past and you have a really good relationship, then they're the ones that you trust, because you need to have good, trustworthy subcontractors, okay, with integrity. Then are not going to, you don't have to worry about them trying to steal your client. You're working cooperatively together, okay, to grow your businesses. And you'll find maybe 2 or 3 that you use. And then you might want to venture off into another area that you don't really have the past performance in, but they may give you a couple of positions under a contract they have, and you're gaining new past performance. You can add another NACE code to your SAM registration or your capabilities, because now that company has given you the opportunity to gain that expertise, that past performance, by giving you 2 positions, okay? So there are ways to do it and grow relationships. I say don't burn any bridges, because you never know who you're going to need down the road. And so if you want to be successful in this business, relationships is what it's all about. Relationships with the government, relationships with other businesses, okay? So keep in mind, and the process is pretty much the same with, doing the subcontracting as a prime contractor, but when you first start out as a sub, you're under that prime, and you have to abide by the way their contract is organized and managed. But if you establish correct, and trustworthy relationship, they will definitely work with you in the future. And then one day you may be the large company and they might be the one being your subcontractor. Okay. Some ways to find subcontractors is you can find contracts on federal procurement, the data system, PDF. You can see who's been awarded different contracts, and kind of compare what you have to offer and what they're doing, and then contact the companies and see if you can get a meeting with them, or over the phone meeting, or a Zoom meeting, and present your capabilities, and keep a relationship going with them. Tell them what you can offer them. Okay. Again, we talked about the industry days. Make sure your company representative and officials and key people are all a part of LinkedIn. Okay. A lot of people use LinkedIn as a source to find partners, and look at those companies and see who has the expertise and exposure to certain procurements and contracts. Again, there's data out there on the website. Like, all people who have GSA schedules are out there. Just go to the GSA website and look at the vendor catalogs, see what they're doing, what they're buying, what their pricing looks like. Pick out a few companies that you think you might be interested in talking to or contacting, and put your name out there. Okay. Eventually you're going to get a hit. Okay. Either you can help them win something, or they can help you win something. Okay. So you can play both roles. Keep that in mind. That's how you grow your company. So, you could be looking for large businesses sometimes, because you may have that piece of the puzzle again that they need. Plus, large businesses, like we mentioned earlier, have certain small business subcontracting goals mandated to them that they need to meet. So you can play the subcontractor role for them. Hey, that's another way to get business. Look for matchmaking events. I know PTAC does matchmaking, correct, Yasmin?
No, we don't do matchmaking, but your counselor can point you to matchmaking events. They happen all the time.
Great, great. Okay. And this is exactly what Yasmin just mentioned about making sure that you're in connection with the area Chamber of Commerce's and small business programs. Like I said, join organizations that cater to small business groups. That's like networking and putting your company out there. Relationships, building relationships, lifeline of your company. Okay. Get to know your small business personnel, and make sure that you let them know you're seeking partners. So sometimes if they know you and they meet a company who may be having a problem or challenge finding another company to team with or meeting small business goals, they can look in their file cabinet or look in their database and say, "Oh, I know a company that would be ideal for you." But if you had not tapped into them and let them know what you're looking for, then that's a resource that you're going to miss. So you need to cover all of these areas. Just kind of recap, agencies and primes have goals to contract with you. You need to contact agency advocates like the OSTB, prime advocates, small business, and they have the outreach people. And the prime, most large businesses especially have small business reps who like to keep, they operate just like the government, where they have like the small business rep. They have a small business rep in the large companies who seek out small businesses, okay, so that they can help build teams when they're doing their procurement and business development. Consider becoming a mentor protege or getting into the small business, the SBA Small Business Mentor Protege Program. This is where the SBA will approve a relationship with you and a larger company who will help you learn the federal contracting process. Okay, as long as the mentor is like concentrating on an area that will definitely help your company grow, and you can only have one mentor protege mentor for a particular service area at a time. And there's a maximum to it. But I've seen a lot of companies really grow by using the assistance of a mentor. And they will help you, teach you how to bid properly, bid with you on certain things to give you that extra expertise to help build your companies. And even transition some of their contracts to yours. It depends on what kind of relationship you build with them, and you want to work it as well as you can to help grow your company. That's what it's all about. That's what successful mentees do. They use the benefits of that mentor to make sure that it's going to, by the time of that mentor protege agreement has expired, you have more revenue in your company. And the SBA grades you as well on that, the performance and how you work together with your mentor. Okay. Always have someone looking out there and seeing what's coming down the pipe, how the government is buying, what's changing. And you have to constantly reinvent your company. It's your business plan that you started in the beginning is going to grow as you grow. So it's a living document, okay? And it means it's your strategy for how to get there and continue to work the way you are and grow is going to change as well. So always have a strategic plan for every year. Most companies do that on an annual basis. And they change it where if things haven't worked in the past, they tweak it to meet the goals of the coming year. Okay. All right, you have to do your due diligence. That's what I'm urging you guys to. But that means, no man is an island. Okay, that's why it's so important to be out there and gaining these relationships with different companies. It's not enough to just go and give your name to the agency. You need to be talking to other people who are currently in the game, who are also looking for partners. Okay, there's another form of partnership called a joint venture, where you may not have all of the parts to the puzzle to provide the service, but let's say that our government required that the prime needed that particular total expertise in order to perform. You can form a joint venture by finding another company who can provide the needed past performance you need. And what happens is the two companies merge, they form a separate entity called a joint venture, and it has to have a name. A lot of times they kind of pull both names together, and they give it a name. And that particular JV entity has to also get registered through the SAM, and they go out and market their services together as a JV, a joint venture. So that's another route that you can use. If you're an SBA company, a lot of agencies require you to have the JV actually approved through SBA before you can utilize the JV agreement. So do look into that. Make sure that you're doing a good job, that you have past performance and the people that can vouch for your past performance. Okay. You can use the expertise of your employees. You can also use the previous experience of people that you sub with, like I said, and they can complement yours to make sure that the requirement that you're bidding on, you're giving them sufficient relative and current past performance. Make sure, again, that you have a solid agreement that protects your company and minimizes risk and costs. That's where I said my job came in as a contracts administrator. My job is to review and protect the company's interests, okay? A lot of people don't like legal documents because it can be a little boring sometimes, but you don't want to end up in court or have someone do something that you didn't agree to. So somebody has to, constantly be making sure that when you take on subcontractors or teaming partners, that they're abiding by the rules. It starts with the non-disclosure agreement before you even talk about it. You have to keep in mind that people that you team with and the people you're talking to every day, they could be your competitor on with the next agency or the next bid that comes out. So you have to protect, if you decide to bid with them on that particular procurement, that these NDA and the TA and all of that is pertaining to that particular bid, and that they're, bound to work with you and be true to that relationship. Okay. And that, if you decide to do other things, sometimes people say, we're going to just work together on Department of Agriculture work. So the agreement states that, okay? But then again, you don't want to lock yourself into exclusivity with that particular company, because it may be a requirement that comes out that that company is not the best sub to use. And so you want to have it looked at by someone and written up correctly, so that you're not, your hands aren't tied by getting into an agreement that doesn't allow you to grow your company the way you should. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you're protected, even if you're a subcontractor and the prime gives you an agreement to review. Make sure someone reviews it on your behalf, and that everything that you agree to is included, and that you're protected once the contract's awarded and you start performing. Was there another question, Yasmin?
No, I'm just wrapping up in the chat box, just letting everybody know how they can get further help from the PTAC. A lot of people are asking about the presentation, and I will be emailing it out to you.
Okay. Okay. It is about 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just wrapping up now.
Okay. If you have any questions and you need to contact me, I have included my information at the end of this slide presentation. But do review if it was something that I didn't cover and you want additional information. If PTAC can't help you, feel free to contact Yasmin for my number and give me a call. I'll give people at least 15 minutes of my time for free. So feel free. This is what I do. I know we've had questions throughout. They're always short, and I know we have a lot of people on this call. So there may be questions coming up later where you might want to just either email me or have a quick phone call and see if I can help clarify further any questions you may have. Here's my email address and my website, and you will get this in the presentation this evening when Yasmin sends them out.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Arleen. I really appreciate it. Great presentation as usual, and very generous offer there for a free 15 minutes. So like I said, I will be sending this out to you. The replay will be available on our website tomorrow. Thank you all for participating. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your particular question. We get so many questions. We have over 90 people on the webinar today, so it's difficult, but we hope you got value from this. Again, speak to your PTAC counselor for further help. They can help you with your individual circumstance. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you again on another webinar. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.